Conquering central Mexico in the 14th and early 16th centuries, the Aztecs are one of the most feared ancient civilizations we know of today. Primarily living in the Valley of Mexico, these ancient settlers are best known for their unrivaled military prowess, advanced agricultural techniques, rich art and architecture, extremely complex religious rituals, sophisticated calendars, and, weirdly enough, astronomical knowledge. Although they were feared by many, the Aztecs were not the only monsters of their time. From the largest wolves known to ever walk the earth to armadillos the size of a small car, the Aztecs shared their region with literal nightmare fuel. Standing more than 3 feet at shoulder level and approximately 6 feet long, the direwolf, aka Anocion dirus, was one of the most fearsome canines on Earth. Made famous by popular TV shows like Game of Thrones, the direwolf was by all means no joke. Weighing an average of 132 to 150 pounds, with some specimens potentially reaching a staggering 243 pounds, these monsters were apex predators trained in the art of hunting. Besides its nerve-wracking size, the first thing you'd realize about this ancient species of wolf is its enormous skull. Sitting at a menacing 1 foot, their skulls were far larger and broader than those of today's modern wolves. Their size, as expected, wasn't just for show, as the direwolf had a jaw worth of legend. Using it for hunting, the direwolf's jaw created a bite force significantly stronger than that of any known species of the Canis genus, including that of the modern gray wolf, which has been recorded to have a bite force of about 400 pounds per square inch. The scary part of the direwolf is that its immense bite force is horrifically backed up by a set of teeth that are not only larger than those of the modern wolf, but even more well-suited for hunting and killing. To make them even more scary, they had a broad, heavy frame and even larger, splayed feet that supported their massive bodies, built for power rather than speed. However, for all their physical attributes, the direwolves were more or less all brawn and no brain, as despite their formidable size, the direwolves had a smaller brain cavity compared to modern gray wolves. Don't let that fool you though, they might not have been smart, but they understood the simple fact that the only thing scarier than a dire wolf was, well, a pack of them. Evolving a complex social system, the direwolves hunted in packs, with evidence today showing they potentially hunted with as many as 30 individuals, which, by the way, is much larger than typical modern wolf packs. If the image of 30 giant apex predators chasing prey wasn't scary enough, then you should consider the fact that as hyper-carnivorous animals, the direwolves were extremely good hunters. Going after the mega herbivores of their time, their diet included wild horses, bison, mastodons, and giant ground sloths. If you aren't scared yet, you should probably note that 2 of the creatures mentioned as their prey managed to scare the savage Aztecs. Today's analysis shows that the direwolves relied heavily on these mega herbivores for their diet, and although on paper it simply meant they were more powerful than we initially gave them credit for, it ultimately was the reason behind their extinction. This is mostly because their reliance on large prey, coupled with climatic changes and competition from other predators, including humans, likely sealed their fate. Although there's no evidence of a clash between humans and these howling monstrosities today, it's safe to say that the prospect of such an encounter is enough to keep anyone up at night. But they weren't the scariest animals at the time. They aren't even the scariest on this list, and the next one actually lived in the 1900s. It's a no-brainer that grizzly bears are among the most powerful in the animal kingdom today. And much like us, the grizzly bear was also one of the most powerful animals around the Aztecs at the time, only their bear wasn't the same as ours. The Ursus arctos horribilis, formerly called Ursus arctos nelsoni, was a formidable creature that roamed the northern territories of Mexico until its unfortunate extinction. Nicknamed the Mexican grizzly bear, this hellish powerhouse was quite an imposing figure, reaching lengths of up to 1.82 meters or 6 feet and weighing around 318 kilograms or 701 pounds. Admittedly, the Mexican grizzly is smaller than its northern relatives in the United States and Canada, but that is of little importance as this killing machine is still a formidable predator and one many wish not to meet. The Mexican grizzly bears inhabited temperate grasslands and mountainous pine forests in the northern parts of Mexico, particularly in the states of Chihuahua, Durango, and Sonora. Its range extended into parts of Arizona, New Mexico, and Texas, suggesting a broad adaptability to different habitats within Aridoamerica. Scarily enough, unlike some other bear species, the Mexican grizzly bear probably did not hibernate, although it might have used winter dens for shelter. Built for strength rather than speed, the bear has a robust and large build with powerful limbs and large paws that were well suited for digging, foraging, and killing, while its strong jaws and teeth can handle a variety of foods, from tough plant material to meat. It earned itself the name El Oso Plateado, meaning the silvery bear in Spanish. The bear's coloration ranged from pale, buffy yellow to grayish-white, with some individuals displaying reddish or yellowish-brown hues. The bear's fur was not evenly spread, as its throat and flanks were particularly long, while its belly had sparser hair. For all of its menacing features, the Mexican grizzly was more of an opportunistic hunter, much like a yogi bear would use its size to steal freshly killed prey from other smaller predators. As an omnivore, the Mexican grizzly bear had a varied diet that primarily consisted of plants, fruits, and insects. In fact, unexpectedly, one of its favorite foods was ants, which it consumed in large quantities. But don't be fooled by this perceived pacifism, because the Mexican grizzly could easily tear down a human, and evidence suggests that it did. Sporting a distinctive silver fur, one of the scarier facts about this creature is that it only went extinct 60 years ago, in 1964. The first recorded encounter between Europeans and the Mexican grizzly bear occurred during Francisco Vázquez de Coronado's expedition in 1540, as he sought the mythical 7 cities of gold. At the time, bears were an absolute menace, as they not only attacked humans, but were also seen as pests due to their occasional predation on cattle. Because of this, the bears were relentlessly hunted, trapped, and poisoned. This soon became a problem, because female Mexican grizzlies typically produced 1 to 3 cubs every 3 years, meaning they were dying faster than they could be replaced. By the 1930s, the Mexican grizzly bear had become rare, with its range reduced to a few isolated mountain regions such as Cerro Campana, Cerro Santa Clara, and the Sierra del Nido in Chihuahua. By 1960, only about 30 individuals were believed to remain, and by 1964, the species was declared extinct, with the last confirmed sighting of the Mexican grizzly in the late 1950s. Made popular by the widely successful Pixar movie Ice Age, the Smilodon or saber-toothed cat is the most menacing-looking feline ever, and to make it much worse, it could back up its appearance with action. Although not closely related to modern tigers, the Smilodon was a formidable predator, belonging to the subfamily Machairodontinae. Renowned for its distinctive saber-like upper canine teeth, which could grow up to 28 centimeters, this large cat was easily nightmare fuel for anyone who looked up at it. Roaming the Americas during the Pleistocene epoch, approximately 2.5 million years ago to about 10,000 years ago, the Smilodon was long gone before the Aztecs, but still managed to strike fear into them, as researchers now believe it to be associated with the Mesoamerican belief in Ocelotl-Cuahuicalli, which translates to jaguar in the serpent bowl. This mythological creature is depicted as a combination of a jaguar and a serpent, often symbolizing the powerful forces of the natural world and representing a blend of earth and water elements. But what did the real Smilodon look like? Well, physically, Smilodons were more robustly built than modern big cats, with particularly strong forelimbs and a robust skull adapted for powerful biting. Standing at about 1.2 meters tall at the shoulder and weighing between 160 and 280 kilograms, this robustly built carnivore's most iconic feature was undoubtedly its elongated curved canine teeth, which could grow up to 28 centimeters in length. These sabers, serrated along the edges, were not just for show, but were lethal tools used to deliver powerful bites to immobilize and kill prey swiftly. Beyond its impressive dentition, Smilodon's skull was notably short-faced compared to contemporary big cats, with a robust structure designed to support its massive jaw muscles. This anatomical adaptation, combined with its relatively short limbs, allowed the animal to ambush its prey rather than engage in prolonged pursuits. Despite its fearsome appearance, Smilodon had a relatively weak bite force compared to modern big cats like lions, owing to the structure of its skull and jaw muscles. However, its large gape, capable of opening up to 110 degrees, allowed it to deliver precise, stabbing bites to its prey that were more often than not fatal. In terms of size, Smilodon species varied, with Smilodon gracilis being the smallest and similar in size to a modern jaguar, weighing between 55 and 100 kilograms or 120 and 220 pounds. The next species, Smilodon fatalis, was more of an intermediate size and weighed between 160 and 280 kilograms, or 350 and 620 pounds. It stood about 39 inches or 3.2 feet tall at the shoulder. The largest species, on the other hand, the Smilodon populator, reached weights of about 220 to 436 kilograms, or 485 to 961 pounds, and stood approximately 4 feet or 47 inches tall. Found in every part of the Americas, the Smilodon was known for their insane jumping capabilities and for their massive retractable claws that, when coupled with their saber-like teeth, made them extremely efficient killers. Smilodon inhabited a range of environments, from open grasslands to dense forests. Its preferred method of hunting was likely ambush predation, a method where it used stalking and its powerful forelimbs to restrain and hunt large herbivores, such as bison, camels, and ground sloths. Sadly, how the Smilodon went extinct remains a mystery, as its extinction, along with many other megafauna species around 10,000 years ago, remains a subject of debate. Today, climate change, human hunting pressures, and shifts in prey availability have all been proposed as contributing factors, but the real reason is anyone's guess. We can, however, say for sure that it had nothing to do with a squirrel looking for an acorn. The Smilodon was indeed an evolutionary masterpiece. However, the next creature took evolution a step further and is also a much more famous cast of the Ice Age movie. Known for their immense size, unique adaptations, and eventual extinction, the American mastodon, also known as the Mammoth americanum, and their mammoth counterparts were perhaps one of the most iconic creatures to walk across the Americas. Part of the order Proboscidae and sharing a host of similarities with modern elephants, mastodons were known for their robust bodies, with mature males reaching heights of around 8 to 10 feet at the shoulder and weighing up to 6 to 9 tons. Essentially, they looked like a jacked-up or more built modern elephant. Mammoths, on the other hand, were not just one species, but rather exhibited a remarkable diversity, with species like the Columbian mammoth, or Mammuthus columbi in North America, and woolly mammoth in Eurasia and North America. Because of this, their appearance varied across different places. For example, woolly mammoths who had to adapt to cold climates were covered in thick fur and had specialized features like small ears and a humped back for conserving heat. On average, mammoths were imposing creatures, often larger and more robust than their modern elephant counterparts. Standing at the shoulder, they typically range from about 9.2 to 11.2 feet in height. The adult males could weigh between 6,000 and 12,000 kilograms, with some of the largest individuals possibly exceeding these weights. Both mastodons and mammoths were immensely large herbivores, whose teeth were adapted for grinding and processing coarse vegetation. The mastodons favored browsing on trees and shrubs, while mammoths, particularly woolly mammoths, grazed on grasses and sedges in open tundra and steppe environments. Speaking of environments, the mastodons wandered across North America, favoring forested environments where they browsed on leaves, twigs, and bark. This habitat was essential for them, as their tusks, less curved than those of mammoths, were used for stripping vegetation and possibly in dominance displays. Mammoths, on the other hand, adapt to a broader range of habitats, including tundra and grasslands. They lived in giant groups, unlike the mastodons, who were primarily forest dwellers, possibly living in small family groups or as solitary individuals. Their differences aside, the mammoth and the mastodon were easily one of the scariest creatures around, not owing to their ferociousness, but rather to their sheer size and the fear they elicited. In the end, though, their size was not enough, as humans soon learned how to hunt them and began making better weapons to do so efficiently. We know this because a good number of the fossils of these creatures that were found are riddled with butchery marks, providing evidence of human hunting. Ultimately, their extinction came at the end of the Pleistocene and, up until today, remains a subject of debate, as many believe it was likely caused by a combination of factors including climate change, habitat loss, and of course, human hunting pressures. Life as an Aztec was no easy feat, and besides these monsters running around, the animal that struck fear into the Aztecs the most was none other than their fellow humans. Leading to the destruction of their empire in 1521, it seems only fair to say once again that in a list containing giant wolves and massive bears, the most dangerous and feared animal is the Homo sapien.